Welcome to the Shooting Show. This week we're with Irish stalking guide Jason Doyle, who shares some of his tips of the trade. Plus we bring you all the latest news from the shooting world.
Today I'm going to test a method of zeroing called maximum point blank range. Now maximum point blank range is the furthest distance you can shoot at the center of a target and still hit the target. It's a useful method for shooting at extended ranges without the use of ballistic reticles and turrets. Now in order to calculate maximum point blank range we need to know a number of things. First of all, we need to decide on the size of our target, and for our experiment today I'm going to go with a 6-inch target. 6 inches is more or less the size of a vital area of a deer. If you're just going to be shooting roe deer or foxes, you might want to reduce the size of your target slightly, but for today we're going to reference a 6-inch target. After that we need to know the BC and velocity of our bullet. Now this information is easily obtained from ballistic apps. I use the Swarovski ballistic app, and for the 6.5 by 55 and normal 140 grain bullets, it had all the information there of BCs and speeds. Obviously, if you shoot your bullets over a chronograph, you're going to get a more accurate speed, but it's not always an option. So once we have our BC and our speed, it gives us our trajectory. So this is our line of sight, right in the middle of our 6-inch target. So in order to hit our 6-inch target, we don't want the bullet to go higher than 3 inches above or lower than 3 inches below. So it's this distance we're after. This will be our maximum point blank range. And when I had our information of our speed, our velocity, our height of our sight above the bore, and the size of our target, I plugged the information into any of the free online maximum point blank range calculators. They're all easy to use. And it gave me a zero distance of 218 yards. Now once I zero the rifle at 218 yards, the maximum point blank range will be 256 yards. That means that this distance here will be 256 yards. So anywhere out to 256 yards, I can fire at the center of our 6-inch target and be confident of hitting it. This highest point here will be 134 yards. So at 134 yards, we'll be 3 inches above the line of sight, and at 256 yards, we'll be 3 inches below the line of sight, keeping us in this 6-inch kill zone. So what does this mean for deer stalkers? Well, basically it gives you the tools. If you have your 6-inch kill zone here and there's your aiming point, if you're using a 100-yard zero and this deer steps out at 200 or 250 yards and you take the shot, you're going to be down here somewhere. You're going to have a miss, or worse still, a wounded animal. If you had zeroed using maximum point blank range and this animal steps out at 250 yards and you aim here, you're still going to hit here. You have a clean kill. If it steps out 134 yards, you're going to hit here, you still have a clean kill. It just gives us more scope with fixed reticle scopes, without ballistic turrets, without ballistic reticles, that we can shoot at extended ranges if necessary. Now I don't recommend that everybody goes out and shoots a deer at 250 and 255 yards straight away, but there are times when such a shot is necessary. For instance, if you've had a bad first shot placement and an animal's wounded and it's run out and bedded down at 200 yards plus, and you want to dispatch this animal as quickly and humanely as possible, at least with a maximum point blank range zero, you have the tools to take that second shot at a further range and dispatch the animal cleanly. So all we have to do now is head out to the range with a target and fire a few shots and see how we go. Now here we are at 219 yards, which according to our ballistic calculator is our zero range. So I already had this rifle set for 200 yards, so I've just moved it up 2 clicks and we're going to have a crack at the target, and hopefully it should be near enough on zero for 219 yards. We'll see how it goes. Yep, now that looks nicely about ½ an inch below the bull, so I won't change it again from there. We'll use that as our base zero. And now we need to move back to our maximum point blank range given by the ballistic calculator, which is 256 yards. And hopefully from that distance, our second bullet should be no more than 3 inches below our first bullet. Right, so this is our 256 yard shot, which is testing the maximum point blank range of the 6.5. So as I said before, hopefully this strike should be no more than 3 inches below center mass of the target and our first bullet strike. Now from here that looks good, maybe a little bit less than 3 inches low, but variation at that distance with a low powered scope, I'd expect that. A little bit of wind drift, but there is a breeze swirling today, but maybe only ½ an inch. So we'll go forward now and check our highest point, which according to our ballistic calculator should be 134 yards. So here we are at our last shooting position. It's exactly 134 yards to the target. And still holding center of the target, this bullet should be no more than 3 inches above our first bullet and no more than 6 inches above our second bullet. So let's give it a go and see how it goes. Now here we are at our target, and we've learned a couple of things, one of which is my shooting hasn't done the concept much justice, but at least it's given a good indication of how it works. You can see our first bullet here, and this is our zero. Our second bullet then is less than 3 inches below the first, and our third bullet is less than 3 inches above. So what this tells us, if we use this 6-inch target as a reference for the vital area of a deer, if we have a deer at any distance from 0 to 256 yards, we can shoot at the center of the vital area and be confident in hitting it.
Jason there, telling us all the do's and the don'ts. And now, the Shooting Show News.
This is the Shooting Show News, brought to you by Gunplan. Firearm certificates have climbed once again in the UK. There are now more than 153,000 FACs on issue, up slightly from last year and the highest since 1988. The number of individual firearms recorded is at its highest since we started counting in 1995. Shotgun certificates decreased slightly, and revocations and refusals dropped again to just 0.2% of applications. 35 million, that's how many gamebirds we release every year, give or take a few. BASC has come up with this number after painstaking research. It said a figure of 50 million had been widely used, but 34.9 million was a more reliable estimate. Around 4/5 of these birds are pheasant, with the remaining fifth red-legged partridge. If you run a shoot, don't miss I Shoot magazine every month. With the cancellation of the CLA Game Fair, organisations are throwing their hats into the ring to take on the fair or stage a new event. Countryman Fairs, which runs the Midland Game Fair, said it's in consultation over a replacement event at the end of July next year. The BBC's show Countryfile Live, meanwhile, said it would review whether to have a shooting industry presence at its event at Blenheim Palace. A number of organisations, such as BASC and the GWCT, are keeping tabs on the situation, though none has said they want to take on all the risk themselves. The direct benefits of grouse shooting have been highlighted once more. A Scottish university has produced new figures indicating that 35% of communities in the Angus Glens depend on grouse shooting for their livelihoods. In the areas surveyed, grouse shooting supplied the equivalent of 92 full-time jobs. The government has recently voiced its support of grouse shooting in response to an anti-shooting petition started by Mark Avery. And finally, Danish rifle makers Schultz & Larsen are stepping up their UK profile with the launch of a new website and a new dealer network. Established in 1889, Schultz & Larsen is the only hunting rifle producer that chooses to use cut rifled barrels. Now it's set to hit the UK much harder with its sporting models. Visit GreatDaneRifles.com for all the info. That was the Shooting Show News.
Well, that's it for this week. Thanks for watching. Please like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And if you're not a member of BASC, it's time to join now. BASC, looking after your sport, looking after you. This has been The Shooting Show.